king. Southpaw switch lead hook chimping. Scorecards rematch. Who got rock fast? All on the B&D podcast. It's the B&D podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D podcast. It's the B&D podcast. Boxing talk, big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever B&D podcast with your boys, Base the Kid and Danny Glover. And it wouldn't be right to have a first ever episode without the living legend himself, man like Ade Oladipo. Ade, thank you very much for attending, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, guys. Honestly, there are many people you could have got on for the first guest. So this means a lot. This means a lot that you've asked me to come on. And obviously I had to come on. I've done stuff with you before, Base. I've done stuff with you, Danny. I came to the studio. I loved it. It was vibes. It was energy. You allowed me to kind of tell my story, which went kind of viral. There's a couple of clips out of that one, Dan, that went viral. People knowing a bit about me that they didn't know. Even though I always feel like I kind of tell people a bit about my journey, but it was great to come on. And look, what a time to come on as well. Boxing's crazy right now. Like, boxing is as crazy as I can ever remember it ever. And I'm talking having watched it since I was 7. I don't remember a time like this that we're going through where it feels like there's a war brewing. It just feels crazy at the moment.
No, look, it's a madness. Thank you very much, as we said now. And you know what's good? We had to get you on specifically. Me personally, it was a mission statement of mine. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not gonna lie, we kind of keep our ears to the streets, me and Danny. And the streets have been talking, saying that Ade's not the same no more. Ade don't, he's not really for or the underground. He's corporate now. He only likes a certain demographic of people to collab with. So we said, no. That's not the Ade we know. If we're talking, this is mixtape 50 we're going with right now. Not stars and power 50 when it comes to Ade. So yes, appreciate you coming on and just letting the people know that you're still here in the underground with the ear to the street like the rest of us.
Brother, the underground is what made me. And look, to be fair to those people, there's a bit of truth to that. Like, sometimes you do, and it's funny because I even did a video yesterday kind of apologizing for my take on something. I think I did a video about Usyk and Rico Verhoeven. And I was like, 5 years ago, I would have gone for Usyk, and I would have gone for the WBC, I would have gone for everything. And I also said on that video that I'm kind of weirdly playing a difficult game of a balancing act here where ultimately, I work for DAZN, I work for Eddie, I guess I work for Frank, I work for Turkey, but there's also a part of me that realizes where I came from. That was the green chair, that was being able to say anything I want to say. And look, I can't do that anymore. I can't go crazy like I used to. But I think it's still important to, as you say, sort of go back to your roots a little bit. And I was even speaking to Johnny Clark from Top Tier the other day about small hall shows, and that they're the ones that kind of let me in for free to cover boxing in the beginning. Now, sometimes you do the stadium fights, you forget about that. So now, you know what? The streets are close. They're kind of right, but they're not right. Because when I met you, Base, it's like, get me on. I was like, what? I hear what the streets are saying as well. It's like, Base, come on, get me on, man. And so, it's good to be on. And it's good to be with you two guys as well, that, you guys talk your talk. And sometimes it's good to hear your opinion on stuff as well.
Danny, man.
Yeah, much appreciated, Ade coming on, and as Base said, it's the Guess Who's Back 50. That's, we know that as we spoke about on the Neutral Corner before, people say, oh yeah, you've changed this and that, but when you're in certain rooms, you have to switch it up a bit. You can't still be the same person from the block in Beckton. Do you know what I mean? You have to wear a different hat, but you give us enough realness where everyone should know by now that you're true to the game and authentic. You even did an apology video. Was it today or yesterday when you're speaking about the Usyk fight? But people have to understand, if you're getting called into HR for certain takes, do you know what I mean? Are they gonna pay your bills if something goes left?
And on that as well, and like most people would know that I didn't do the first Ben Eubank fight, which for me, like having grown up watching their dads, and I did the first face-off, but that's almost being slapped on the wrist for kind of speaking and saying things that, and I've got to realize that as a fan, you kind of want to work on those events. So it is a slippery slope. I just want to be there. And, not to do that one kind of was like, oh, because I felt like I was like almost untouchable. There was a period where I was like, face of the zone. Like, I'm doing everything. I can say what I want. And then I realized, well, no, you can't. There's consequence. So, and I've learned that the hard way because being removed from that one, and I didn't do Times Square, I didn't do Canelo, William Skull, which in a way I wasn't too mad about missing out on, but you miss out on these things and you're like, rah, okay, I'm not untouchable, got to be a bit careful. So, yeah, I think people need to understand that, yeah, I want to say as much as I want to say and I want to jump on people's platforms, but at the same time, I've now got my own goals, and my own goals are like, I want to do all these big events. I want to go to America and do Shakur Stevenson Teal or Ryan Garcia Barrios. I want to be there. And the people that make those decisions sometimes don't like me saying what I used to say, so I just got to be a bit careful.
No, I hear it. Well, look, we'll let's get into it because we don't want to disrespect your time as always.
Nah. We can go now. Now we're on. We can go.
Okay,
we can
all
go.
right. I'm glad. And you know what? I will take any bullets that you don't want to take today. Yeah, I will take the 9 shots. But we got to start. And look, it's been done to death, so we're not going to go through too much detail. But generally speaking, the Conor Benn Zufa thing with Matchroom, I just kind of want to know, from your perspective, right? Do you feel like, number one, it's the right move for him moving forward? And number two, do you like the way it was handled and the way everything sort of went about of it? How do you kind of see that from the outside looking in?
You know what? It's weird because I'm almost not on the outside looking in. I'm almost just kind of in the middle looking in, whereby I know Conor. I even messaged Conor straight away after. I've been listening to Eddie's interviews, and I feel like with Eddie's interviews, we're getting a bit more insight every day. Like I saw one, I think he did with IFL TV, Comb, yesterday, Comb, right? And I was like, oh, okay, there's a bit more about this now. I always find it difficult when it comes to like fighters and doing what's right for them, because the check is ultimately what they fight for. Everyone will talk about belts and stuff, but you listen to the old school fighters and they will say those belts are just metal and rubber. It's all about being paid. So Conor was obviously paid big time. Like I know, or at least I think I know, the check that he was given just to, like almost like a signing on fee in football, and then the check to fight. And if that comes across your table, it's going to be difficult to say no. I think maybe the way in which he dealt with Eddie is something that I think Conor will look back on and think, right, I should have done a bit better there. Like maybe there is a conversation that Eddie, look, this has just come in. Like, it's a lot of money and I want to do it. How do we do it? Maybe not together, but look, I'm going to go there. I'm going to do a couple fights and I'm going to bounce back. Kind of like what Katie did when she went to MVP and fought Amanda and got that check, got that big check, and then basically has bounced back. And AJ, to an extent with Jake Paul, is slightly different, but with AJ, with Jake Paul, where they've gone on to different networks, different promoters. Eddie's not really been there and they've come and made their money. So I think I don't begrudge Conor for going and making big money. Like I still don't even know what level Conor's at. So if someone's paying Conor 14, 15 million to have a fight, it's difficult to not take it. But I do think for someone that's backed you the way Eddie has, and he's been with Conor for 10 years, and Eddie took unnecessary bullets because of the drug scandal, maybe that deserves, because of that, maybe it deserves a conversation to say, look, right, Eddie, this is just coming from Dana White in Turkey and it's massive. Like, I've got to take it. And I don't think Eddie's going to stop him. So I think maybe Conor should have done it that way. But if I'm Conor, take the money. Like, this is a short career, you know. Like, it's nothing's guaranteed. You could get chinned and it's done. So if I'm Conor, I take the money. But I think he deserved, or at least Eddie deserved, the conversation.
Yeah, Danny, in your opinion, right? Same question, but I want to expand it a little bit. You see the part where Eddie is now basically saying, look, there's a legal thing around it because you don't pay 15 million for a Regis Prograde fight. That's basically the avenue they're going down. Do you think like there's going to be some funny business come out in the paperwork afterwards?
I'm not sure, but the thing is, it was surprising that for 15 million, he's not been given the hardest job, has he, really? For 15 million to fight a 140-pounder who's been dropped by Devin Haney and Jack Catterall a couple of times, nearly got taken out by Jojo Diaz, looked bad even against Zorilla, so hasn't really looked good since probably 2021, I would say. So for 15 minutes, it looks like a very overpriced job. So I don't know if that and plus remember he's signed to Zufa, but this is not a Zufa card that he's actually on. He's actually on a Ring magazine card on Netflix. So this is not on Zufa. This is not on Paramount. He's not going to be wearing the generic, boring black or white shorts with a Z on his gloves. So with no entrance, he's going to be able to wear his usual stuff. His Dangerous song coming out. So what is the deal with this Zufa contract? I don't understand quite yet.
Boy,
And
yeah,
15 million and you're not even main event.
I mean, yeah, that's why I think, you know what, I think to a degree, and this is just from the last few interviews, I feel as if with this whole play, like obviously it blindsided Eddie, kind of got his pants pulled down in front of the world, you know, emotional and everything like that. But on this back half of now, where they're like, okay, we want to see the paperwork, we want to see that this 15 million is what he's getting for Regis Prograde. That puts them in a situation like, raw. Even if we weren't going to pay him that, now we kind of got to, because it can't be 15 million for the full contract. We still got that matching, right? Which means you've got to come straight back here, or you got to break us off a piece of the bread. So I'm looking at it from that point of view. It's almost like, okay, they played a strong check, but Eddie now got himself out of check, and he might have just had to checkmate them into spending money that they didn't need to spend for a Regis Prograde fight, or to be a co-main, but really and truly his chief support, because he's not headlining above Tyson Fury.
You know what though? What they've done though, I think the biggest takeaway I took from it is like, this is a power play. This is almost a bit like, we're going to come into your stable and removing AJ, who's got maybe 1 fight left, 2 fights max, right? We're going to take your biggest name from you. I almost feel like this is almost Zufa saying, we're here not to muck around. We're not coming here as a joke thing. We're going to come over to the UK, removed Conor Benn, who is Eddie's biggest name. I mean, Conor Benn's done 2 sold-out stadiums. I know it's against Eubank, but the fact is the numbers are still there. He still did 60,000+. And Conor's high. Like, I was ringside in Vegas where Conor was ringside, and I'm telling you, there were people just flocking to Conor for autographs and photos. You don't get many British fighters like that. There aren't many British fighters that can go over there and would even be known, let alone people wanting photographs. So Conor's at his highest level right now, and Zufa have just said, we're taking him. There's nothing you can do. We're going to pay too much, and we're taking him. And that's aggressive. And if I'm anyone out there that's got talent, I'm locking them down to 10-fight deals now. Because anyone's got 1 or 2, these guys are going to be on the phone secretly saying, we got left. All right, 1 second, we'll come and grab you in a minute. And I think it's a power play from Zufa. And look, you're right, 15 million's obviously too much for Regis, but they've almost said, we're going to put an offer that you simply can't match. So yes, go and try and match this. You can't, 15 million. You know Conor's not worth that. We're going to just overpay to get him. And then I think it's going to level out because they have him then. So I think it's a massive power play.
Well, do you know what though? Here's the thing. This is what we got to kind of look at. If we look at a pattern of play, and this is the last point, well, I want to move on to another topic if you guys are happy to. But with this, if you look at, for instance, what Turkey did when he came over here with Frank Warren and Eddie and the 5x5 and all of that stuff, all these big fights, everyone's getting overpaid, everyone's loving life. And then he's kind of scaled back a bit and said, all right, you know what, cool. Now he's kind of doing it in America. So it's almost like he's moved from the UK territory. He's gone over to America. It's clear that he's the one funding Conor Benn. It's not Zufa. It's not Dana White. It's Turkey and probably like Nick Khan and them man there. But then what we have to look at is, okay, what then happens if Turkey decides, or he gets bored at that point over there, and now he's kind of left these guys with the overpriced model and the people don't want to fight. Does Dana now have the resources to be able to, to get them all in check afterwards? That's what I would like to see. That for me is the interesting thing. I don't know if anyone wants to respond to that, but that's just a thought that's been going through my mind recently.
I personally don't think Dana would. He's not on overpaying, as we know. He's always about. The thing is, he's trying to reduce it. So him overpaying Conor is not really his type of MO really, because even now he's got guys like Sean O'Malley and guys in the UFC. They're bawling their eyes out now saying, I don't even know who this guy is. Like, I've got more followers and stuff like that on social media, and I've been selling out how many, and this guy's just come out of nowhere, not won anything, and he's getting more than all of us main event rosters in one night. Like, so they're thinking, Dana, you're doing us dirty here. So he ain't trying to pay them kind of prices. He'll rather let people go than overpay. In my opinion.
You know what's interesting about the overpay thing, and you're spot on base. But this is why I'm not crazy mad at Conor, and I feel like everyone's got to eat while they can. Because you're right, Turkey could wake up one day and say, guys, this was fun, but I'm moving on to the next thing. I want to buy a football club. I want to do whatever I need to do. So that's why all the fighters are trying to eat. That's why they're all being a bit greedy right now. It's not. I speak to quite a lot of fighters, and they're all like waiting for that Turkey bag. Yeah. Take it, because you don't know when Turkey could say, okay, we're done. And then it's Nick Khan and Dana White. And as you say, Danny, they're not going to pay that kind of money because they'll look at it from a business and the numbers won't stack up from an accounting standpoint, whereas Turkey's looking at it almost like a bit of fun, really. Like, okay, I'm going to pay you X because I want to see that fight. How much would that fight be to put on? I want to see it. Let's do it. I've been in a room with Turkey where literally this guy is matchmaking fantasy fights. And some people will say, yeah, like Bivol Beterbiev on pay-per-view wouldn't have done 100,000 pay-per-view buys. But he was so desperate to see it, he overpaid for it. And we were kind of the benefactors of it because ultimately Top Rank weren't going to do it, Eddie weren't going to do it, PBC weren't going to do it, no one was going to do it, but he was like, okay, I'm going to pay for it. So if I'm all these fighters and promoters and broadcasters, just eat while you can. Because no one said this was going to be a 10-year thing. Turkey's doing it for 2.5 years, and it's been, October 23 was Fury and Gardner. So it has gone on, nearly 3 years. But I think everyone should just kind of take it while you can because it can just stop like that.
Yeah, no, I hear it. Well, look, with regards to that, we got the undercard announcement a little earlier on today. So obviously we had Ben and Prograis, we got Fury Makhmudov. We've also now found that we got Jamie TKV against Richard Riakporhe and Fraser Clark versus Justice Huni. I want to say first, for a free card on Netflix, I'm happy.
Thank you.
I ain't got to pay nothing. I'm happy. I will be doing a watch along because I doubt I'll be spending that insane amount of money to go there. I've seen the price of the tickets. I ain't that rich just yet. Unless you want to sponsor me, I guess.
See what we can do.
But what's your opinion on the undercard though?
I like it. Honestly, I like. What is? We as boxing fans. I mean, if you go by X or Twitter, everyone likes to moan. And I'm like, look, I get it. If this was a pay-per-view and someone's telling you to spend 30 quid, cool. But we've all got Netflix. Like, if we're honest, everyone's got Netflix nowadays. So for me, it's just like watching a free fight night. And I say a free fight night and I see fights that will entertain me. I mean, you've got Riakporhe TKV, which is entertaining. You've got Justice Huni versus Fraser Clark. Fraser Clark's not really in a boring fight. I feel like he needs a bit more rest, but he's not in a boring fight. We've got Felix Cash coming back. I don't know what to expect. And even the Conor Benn Prograis. Look, let's be honest. Conor Benn should be fighting a 147 guy. But we're all going to watch it. I'm like, well, let's see what Conor Benn's got when he's not fighting Eubank. Prograis can box a bit. So I'm not mad at it. Honestly, I'm not mad at it. Again, it's a free one. I think people like to be angry just for the sake of being angry, for no reason. Just to find something. I mean, you could dig up Muhammad Ali, they'll still be angry. So I'm good with this because, as I said, if it was pay-per-view, okay, maybe you want a bit more icing on top of the cake. But with it being basically a free card, I'm not mad at it.
No, I hear that. Danny, what's your opinion? And also, not just what's your opinion, early predictions for you.
My opinion on it is even if it was pay-per-view, I've bought worse pay-per-views. We've enjoyed worse pay-per-views looking cards. I think is a very good card. Obviously, what it is, as we've all spoken about before, that we are now spoilt because we've had these tremendous ultimate cards which are like main events. When you've got Joshua Buatsi versus Callum Smith ribbon cutting for a show, that's not sustainable. Let's be realistic. Yeah. So I think this is a very good card. And I'm excited. And early predictions, I'm going with Conor Benn inside 6 rounds. I'm going to go with Tyson Fury on points. I believe Justice Huni.
Yeah.
Justice Huni wins. He might get a late stoppage in there. Felix Cash. I don't know much about this German, but he's unbeaten. I think he's had 23 fights, 17 KOs. So, but the opponents look a bit, padded. So I don't know. I don't know what Felix Cash has got because the last time I saw him when we was all in Birmingham and he got bruck up by Tyler Denny.
Jeez.
Vicious. So yeah, TKV Richie Riakporhe. I'll have to reserve that because I am friends with both men.
Ah, look at him. See, look at him. Look at this man. Fencing.
No. You know what? I'm gonna go with TKV on points.
Okay. Obviously, as you guys know, like I will give my predictions. You know, I'll speak, but just not right now. Go wait for the video. That's my content. All right, cool. So we're all in agreement. Good card, especially if it has a freebie. I'm very, very happy with that. Right now, Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven has been announced a couple days back. We had kind of heard rumors of it probably about 2 weeks ago. Ade, I know you probably heard about it about a month ago that it was in the final stages. Everyone seems to say, all right, do you know what? It's okay until the WBC seem to get involved in it. Now, I know you just did a video on this, Ade, and I know you spoke with G-Man as well. I actually started watching that video. I ain't finished it yet because you put it up as soon as this was starting. So what's your opinion on that, on that, and how did you take the news when you saw the WBC initially said, oh no, it's a commemorative thing? Actually, no, we're putting the belt on the line.
I think the WBC are just... I think they're a bit of a disgrace. Not even a bit. I think they're a disgrace, the WBC, in terms of how they conduct themselves. And look, I see Mauricio Sulaiman at nearly every big event. And to be fair, it's love when I see Mauricio Sulaiman, because I think he actually does a good job of pushing the WBC. Like the other governing bodies, sanctioning bodies, the only one I know is Gilberto Mendoza. I have no idea who the other guys are. So at least Mauricio Sulaiman's there. He's trying to put hats on people. He tries to put medals on people. He does the WBC convention. So he's actually doing a good thing of trying to fight back with Zufa. But then you do this. And I was mad. I kind of said this, and I said it on the show as well. Like, how's Ryan Garcia getting a Barrios shot after coming off a loss and a no contest? How's Manny Pacquiao fighting Barrios? How's Keith Thurman fighting Sebastian Findora? But this takes the piss beyond that. And what I did say in that video is that the WBC heavyweight title is the most prestigious belt in boxing by far. Like, of all the belts in boxing, of all the weight classes, it's the WBC heavyweight strap. Let's show it some respect. I kind of got a bit stick in my video by saying, I'm not mad at Usyk to fight Rico. And I kind of understand why people gave me a bit of backlash. But what I was basically saying is, like, this guy's done everything. Like, I'm cool with him because he's kind of clocked the game. And if Fury can fight Ngannou and AJ can fight Jake Paul, if I'm Usyk and I get a call to fight a kickboxer, I'm taking it. But then just have a trinket like we did with Fury and Ngannou. Why give it the prestige of saying WBC heavyweight title? Just say, okay, WBC Egypt belt, whatever you're gonna do. Why do they need to do that? They need to do it because they're a crazy organization. They almost need to just start again and say, oh, guys, we're gonna do this properly now because we're getting so much stick as an organization. We're going to do everything from scratch. Like, let's throw away the book, start again. Sanction fees, correct. Rankings, correct. Mandatories, correct. Everything needs to be correct because we're under so much heat. Terence Crawford destroyed us a few months ago. Shakur Stevenson's embarrassed us. Dana White is trying to say scrap our belt. Let's get our houses in order. And now they do this. They give us Rico Verhoeven versus Usyk for a WBC heavyweight title. If I'm Agit Kabayel, I'm like, fuck you, belt. Like, why am I doing all this? Why am I putting myself in a position where I'm taking these fights and paying you guys sanctioning fees and you're doing this to me? It's a disgrace.
Just before you go, Danny, well, the one caveat I would say to that is they at least have mandated that Cabello will be next regardless. That is what they said. Now, we know that they can flow like the wind. If Wilder looks amazing against Chisora and Usyk says, oh, give me the last of the heavyweight greats of my era, they'll probably do some shenanigans. But right now, he's got that direct.
No. You're right, Bae. Sorry to cut across you, Dan, as well. You're right, but I spoke to Wardley about this. I said, do you feel like a world champion? He's like, yeah, not really, because ultimately I got given a belt. What if Usyk just decides to vacate? Like, these guys, they want the prestige of fighting the guy for the world title. We could have a situation where Usyk's like, I'm done, take it. And yeah, Cabello will feel like, okay, I'm a world champion, but he won't feel like a world champion because he's not beaten the champion. So my worry with Usyk is that he kind of looks around and thinks, we're good, and vacates. And Cabello has missed out on the chance of fighting Alexander Usyk. And look, Cabello could cause him problems. Usyk, obviously, big favorite, but you want to fight the guys. It's a weird period where three of the biggest names in the heavyweight division in this last 25 years are fighting these kind of crossover belts. Like, what's happening? There's no passing of the torch fights, no hand in the baton fights. Fury and Ngannou, AJ, Jake Paul, now Usyk, Rico Verhoeven. If I'm one of the younger heavyweights coming up, I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, it's unfair. It's not fair.
No, I agree with you on that. I do. Danny, so what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I feel for guys like Ajit Kabir and Wardley because they're going to feel like Tommy Gunn. You know, they're saying, you know what I mean? Where like people are going to say they're like paper champions, so they're going to call out the old man and like, hey, look, listen, we've got to have to do it in the streets or something. I need to get my respect. But
hey, great! That's a great fight scene. That was a great fight scene.
Amazing.
Rocky Five for all you young people.
No, that was a serious movie. But I understand with Usyk, he's doing one of these little bonus level things where he's clocked the game. But yes, I do feel that Jose will be turning, you know, rest in power because he's thinking, son, what are you doing? I've built this whole legacy of this belt and you're just putting it in tatters. You're doing my name a disgrace. He could have just made a pyramid belt. He's made a Black History Month and all that kind of stuff, and Mestizo's belt and all kinds of belts. That he even had the St. George one for Tyson Fury and Dillian White before. So he could have made a trinket. I don't know why he's given a man who had one boxing match 20 years ago the fight for the world heavyweight title. He's not ranked. It's like more than inactive on BoxRec. So it's just silly, really, in my opinion. But I understand Usyk doing what he wants to do. He's earned it. But and if he does decide to retire and give up all the belts, then everyone's just got to sort of fight each other and work out who's the next man. Because sometimes these things do happen where the main man does retire on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, I agree with both of you. In terms of Usyk and taking the fight, again, I ain't got issue with that. Same as I didn't have an issue with, that's a lie. I did have an issue with Fury and Ngannou, but only because Fury had other work that he was delaying, ducking, like misappropriating, whatever we want to say. Whereas Usyk has done his other work twice over on many occasions. So for him to have the gimme, I don't have an issue with that. But yes, like the two of you, I do have an issue with that WBC belt or any other title being on the line for someone that's not even ranked, not had a proper professional boxing fight in over 12 years, getting a shot. You know, this isn't the Creed movies. This isn't the Rocky movies. This isn't, fantasy. This is, as you said, real life, real people's lives. People that, that one extra fight they might have to have now to pass the time could be the end of their career. That could be the one brain cell gone that has now stopped them in their tracks that moment before they were supposed to have the fight. Something could happen to Ajit Kabir in his next fight if he decides to have one. He might tear a meniscus. He might do his ACL and can't fight again or something like that, all because he's waiting for an opportunity for this. And again, while I don't have an issue with Usyk doing what he's doing, but if that's the case, maybe the other should have said, all right, you know what? We're going to make you champion in recess while you go off and do this. Everyone else upgraded to full champion, but you've got the right to come back and fight every one of them for their belts next or whenever you choose to come back. So you can be the emeritus champion and no one would say a thing. You still have the Ring magazine. He'd still be thought of as the number one, but the division can sort of carry on as normal. And then if he decides he wants to come back and try and claim his belts, he can go after them that way. That's kind of what I believe would be a fair way to do it. But as we know, life ain't fair and people do what they do. In terms of him, as I said, side missions, he can do any side mission he wants right now. Next fight is, I say he's got to fight at least one of the mandatories or a suitable contender. But in terms of if he wants to do a couple side missions before he finishes the game, I've got no issue with that because, again, he's done more in the heavyweight scene than pretty much everyone else, apart from maybe Anthony Joshua, if we're talking about actually taking on people. Like, there's no one that's taken on more of their ranked contenders or the cream of the crop guys than Alexander Usyk. So in that sense, I'm cool. But yeah, for the sanctioning bodies to be on board and all of that stuff, no, I can't really rock with that.
And he's so far in front of everyone else.
Yeah.
Like when you just watch him, you're like, and obviously look, I mean, Wardley's got mad power. He's crazy. We still don't quite know about Italma. And there are others, like Bacoli's kind of missed his opportunity. If Bacoli was still the Bacoli at Jared Anderson, you're like, okay, maybe you want to see that one. But right now, he steps into the ring with anybody. I'm like, yeah, he's a massive favorite. And there's no one really in any division like that. Like, he's so far a favorite for me against anybody. So as much as I wanted to see the Kabayel fight, just because I was in Germany, it was a bit of crazy atmosphere. I liked the idea of it. I still would have Usyk as a massive favorite. So unless someone separates themselves from the pack completely, then you're like, it's kind of whatever. We almost need to see the winner of Wardley Dubois versus Kabayel to really say, okay, you're the number one contender, 100% without any issues. You are that guy that should be facing Usyk. Right now, you could argue that Wardley is, you could argue that Kabayel is. It's kind of a bit confusing. So that's why I'm not mad at him saying, let me just let you guys over there, you little kids, play with yourselves. I'm going to do something over here until one of you kind of steps up. Then.
No, I hear that. Quickly, Danny and Ade, I'm not excluding you from this, but I don't want to mess up the bag either. No, but we do need to talk a little bit about this ultimate tier, and I want to do this very briefly. Yeah, because I didn't purchase it when it first came out. I was going to initially, but I guess it's just a bit like having the yearly subscription to DAZN, which I have, and luckily last year I had the discounted one, so I didn't pay the full price on the year, but I've always had it, always paid it off each year. Obviously,
how much is that out of interest?
So it's currently $119.99, but I got it last year for $83.99. So
it's not, so that includes all the pay-per-views?
No, that's just the regulars. I have to buy them on top. But the ultimate is $249.99 a year. Now, here's my thing with
I got it for $220 because I got they was doing a
discount,
deal, a flash sale.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my issue with it. First of all, it's like paying for something for a whole year and you don't know what you're getting is risky business to begin with. But when they say, okay, it's the ultimate tier and like basically it's going to be cheaper than if you bought all the pay-per-views by themselves, and I agree with that. But why is there so many pay-per-views? To me, Danny, and again, Ade, you can sit this one out, but Danny, why do you think like ultimately it almost feels like they're just kind of trying to find stuff to put on pay-per-view to make it seem as if, this is brilliant value, when there's a lot of fights they're putting on should have never been on a pay-per-view card. Moses Italma versus Dillian Whyte should have never been a pay-per-view in anywhere. And just these kind of fights, just in your opinion, and look, I'll go in if I need to, but like, do you actually think that the ultimate tier is value for money?
Well, thankfully, that Dillian Whyte and Italma one wasn't on that ultimate tier.
Yeah, this was prior to that. I'm just talking about them putting on pay-per-views in general is way too
much. I don't feel that I'm getting value for money. And especially, I was just about to bring up this matter because they're sticking the Usyk versus this Verhoeven or whatever his name is on pay-per-view, and I'm thinking, hold on, this ain't £25, and this ain't ultimate. This is not an ultimate fight for me. So I'm paying this money, and it feels like they are trying to scrape the barrel to find pay-per-view fights, especially now you've got guys like, people like Katie Taylor fighting on Netflix, Anthony Joshua just fought on Netflix, Tyson Fury's fighting on Netflix, Conor Benn is fighting on Netflix now. So it's like, where are you going to actually find these real pay-per-view fights from? So now they're having to just say, it's a good fight, it's pay-per-view. The only fight that is a good card, which I've seen so far, like a proper card, which is not pay-per-view, is the Magnificent Seven that's coming up. Yeah. So that's nice. But other than that, everything else is getting stuck on pay-per-view as an ultimate golden tier package fight. And I'm like, this isn't gold standard for me. So I'm feeling a bit slighted.
I think the biggest thing, and I think Base touched on it, I think the biggest thing when you're paying for something, right, $250, $230, whatever it is, and you don't know what that includes, then that's difficult. That's difficult. And I've actually said this, and I'll say this because, again, I'm close to that edge of the cliff. Every time they tell me to read out the ultimate, so when I'm doing that read in between fights, I'm like, guys, how am I wording this? Because ultimately, I know how people at home are perceiving it. So I'm like, what am I saying now? Because 12 minimum pay-per-view events. Like, that doesn't sound good because that basically means we're doing pay-per-view events.
Yeah.
And no one wants to hear that pay-per-view stuff. No one wants to hear that. And then I think of what a fan thinks of, okay, what are the actual pay-per-view fights? So I'm with you guys. Like, I'm with you. And I think I wouldn't be shocked if there is some moving parts behind the scenes about how that changes a little bit, because fight fans know what's pay-per-view and what's not pay-per-view. Okay, let me ask you a question. Is Wilder Chisora pay-per-view?
For me personally, I'd say no, but I don't mind it being pay-per-view because of both of them. Like, just basically, that's one of those ones. I don't think it's pay-per-view, but I'm not gonna kick up a stink about it. But I don't. But it's one of them ones where, look, 13 losses versus 4 losses. Both guys ended their career, but because of the significance of it, I will say, all right, you know what? I'm not gonna complain. It is what it is. I will buy it, fine. But it's not something I think should be pay-per-view personally.
Dan?
You're going to buy that? Wow. No, I don't think it's pay per view. Yes, they are brand names, but they are brand names of the past. Yeah, Chisora's having a decent Indian summer right now, but Wilder has been on absolute terrible form and is not a pay per view standard fighter right now. So no, it's not a pay per view fight. That's not
Was
pay-per-view.
Shakur Teo? That's actually a stupid question. That's pay-per-view.
No, do you know what? I'm gonna say this, right? Personally, again, I don't actually think it's a pay-per-view fight, but I wasn't mad at it. The reason I say I don't think it's a pay-per-view fight, because neither of them have been pay-per-view fighters. Like Shakur, as good as like he does sort of in Jersey and everything, great fighter, amazing fighter, but he's never been a pay-per-view guy before. Like, he hasn't been on pay-per-views like that. He's not headline pay-per-views before that. Teo doesn't really have a big fan base. People think he does. He doesn't. Apart from this fight with Shakur, it's the first time he's actually sold out a decent sized arena. He used to be in Madison Square Garden in the small
Hulu theater
arena, and never used to fill that out. So he didn't really have a fan base like that, and even online he's not really, doesn't do much to sort of move the needle in that sense. So there wasn't a pay-per-view fight, but I didn't mind that being on pay-per-view. If you get it, it's a similar thing to that I said to the other one. A lot of these fights, I don't think they're pay-per-view, but I've bought them just because I wanted to either support one of the guys or there was a good undercard around it. Because that fight by itself, I wouldn't have bought it and said, I wouldn't have said, no, that's pay-per-view by itself.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, you're right. I think what we've seen over the years is that there are less pay-per-view fighters, and now they're trying to build pay-per-view cards.
Yeah.
Just to compensate for the fact there aren't these pay-per-view fighters. I don't know if there's anywhere around it, honestly, because what these fighters now want financially, I almost feel like they think, unless it goes on pay-per-view, we ain't paying it, or we can't pay it. It's almost got crazy. And I guess this is almost a result of them getting overpaid for Riyadh season shows. So these fighters now have a number in their head, which they think's the normal number. And it kind of ain't the normal number. Like, you need to kind of go to your fights before Riyadh season for your kind of normal number. Now everyone's got this elevated figure in their head. And I think these organizations like, well, that has to go on pay-per-view. Okay, Wardley Dubois?
Yeah, that is. I think so.
See, bases were...
Again, it's one of them ones where I don't get me wrong, I'm going to buy it. And that makes me part of the problem. I'm not going to lie. But again, neither guy is that big of a draw to be a pay-per-view star.
You know what it is, yeah? I think we've all grown up when the pay-per-views were Mayweather, Pacquiao, Cotto, Canelo, Golovkin, AJ, Fury, maybe Hay to an extent when he was fighting Belly or whatever. And that's kind of it, really. We didn't have that. There weren't that many. Yeah. Now there's like 40 pay-per-view fighters who all think they're pay-per-view fighters. And I feel like the game's just changed so much. Yeah. Honestly, I look at some of the young American fighters, I think you're not a pay-per-view fighter.
Yeah, I mean, even with that, sorry, Danny, like I would say someone like Fabio, I feel like he's definitely got the ability, but I almost feel like he needs to fight a pay-per-view fighter to take their momentum. You know, like you used to say, the Highlander effect that you used to always talk about. Something like that. Beat the pay-per-view guy and become the pay-per-view guy. But you don't kind of just get to be the pay-per-view guy by yourself when, if we're being real, look, he's done them brilliantly, amazingly. Like Fabio has exceeded anyone's expectations, and long may it continue. but the wins are Fraser Clark, Justice Uni, Joseph Parker. That to me isn't the making of a pay-per-view star. But I get because there's a belt on the line and it's heavyweight especially. That's one thing. And then Daniel's obviously done multiple pay-per-views as the B-side, but he's done multiple pay-per-views in that sense. So again,
it'll be very interesting to ask this question. Like, we're hardcore boxing fans. So we look at it differently. It'll be very interesting to hear what a casual boxing fan thinks about whether or not these guys are pay-per-view fighters or not. I think they might look at it a bit differently to us, because I think they would say yes to Dubois Wardley, because I think they would look at Dubois and think, my God, yeah, for AJ, for Usyk in front of 1 million people. And I think they'll look at Wardley, Chin and Parker and think, all right, it makes sense as a pay-per-view. I think they view it differently. And maybe they're the ones that actually buy the pay-per-views. So I don't know. The analytics will probably say, I might be right, might be wrong. But I feel like casual boxing fans might view who is a pay-per-view fighter slightly differently.
Oh, fair point. Fair point.
Yeah, I think it is a pay-per-view fight only because, yes, I understand that Wardley hasn't beaten a pay-per-view star, but right now he's fighting a man who's been on pay-per-view at least 3 times in Daniel Dubois, and it's a former world champion versus a current world champion.
Yeah.
So that's from that alone, that would make it pay-per-view. I know we're talking about, we think of the past and we think, well, when I was a kid, pay-per-view was me staying up late at night to watch Mike Tyson or watching Prince Nassim come out on flight carpets and a throne and doing front flips over the ropes and stuff like that. But yeah, so there are some of the fights which I did say that I don't think are pay-per-view, but this one in particular with Wardley and Dubois, because the Dubois factor where, yes, he's been the B-side, but he is a pay-per-view fight. He's been on pay-per-view his last few fights, so it makes it pay-per-view. And it's former world champion versus current world champion.
Yeah. I think this one has a bit of magic stardust with it as well. I just feel like it's a big. I actually think it would, not crazy. I'm not going to say it does crazy number. I don't think it does, but I think it would do respectably good numbers. I think people are very intrigued by this. Like, this is a fight where I'm like, the title's genuine. Like, that Don't Blink title, you know, they normally oversell this crap, but that's a genuine, real title because someone's getting knocked out in that fight. And then there's an argument to say if Wardley wins, dude, he's number 2 best heavyweight on planet Earth. Yeah. Which is kind of mad.
That's very fair. Look, like I said, I'm definitely gonna buy it. What my metrics for a pay-per-view is slightly different to what I'm prepared to pay for, and I am prepared to pay for it. So I guess pay-per-view.
I think DAZN should do think tanks. I don't know if they do. I don't think they do. I think they should generally open their doors to like people coming down to their head office in Hammersmith and having these open conversations with people. I think it's important to kind of gauge where people are. Like, ultimately, DAZN have big competition now, right? They've got, and you mentioned Netflix, right? Paramount. These are big behemoths. And if DAZN want to still stay as numero uno, I think they need to kind of hear what people have to say about this type of stuff, because it's important to kind of understand what people will pay for and what people won't pay for, and how they make people pay for it, as opposed to like, nah, I ain't paying for that shit. Like, is it better cards? Is it better promos? Is it better whatever? But they've got to kind of understand the temperature in the room sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. And well, look, speaking of DAZN and trying to understand temperature in the room, one temperature they're not going to be able to work on at the moment seems to be that Jerron Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz fight. Golden Boy have managed to win their case, and they've won the injunction against the fight being set up without their say-so. And now they're looking at a way to, I guess, negotiate with Virgil Ortiz on his deal and how he can kind of move forward. So that fight is kind of stuck in limbo. Before I go to you on that one, Ade, because obviously, again, that's your broadcaster, Danny, like, what's your thoughts on that news that, you know, they can't now do that fight separate to Golden Boy, and ultimately, like, whatever happens, that fight definitely isn't going to be next?
It's very disappointing because even though, once again, talking about the last subject, I don't think, well, either man hasn't done pay-per-view before. If the fight was made and it was put on my bundle, I'd actually be happy. I'd go, okay, that's fair to have one of my 12. So that's disappointing that we're not getting something that I would actually, smile about. But yeah, Oscar knows his stuff. He's a former fighter. I know he makes these little parodies on his Clapback Thursdays and stuff, but he's a lot more business savvy than maybe people realize. So yeah, he's won his case. There's a lot of cases going around, and it seems yeah, there's going to be plenty more in this business. As Addy said at the start of the show, it's a crazy world in this boxing game right now.
Andy, what's your thoughts on it, man?
I hate it. It makes me sick. Honestly, it just makes me sick. Like, you've got Dana White and Zufa and Nick Khan and Turkey that are basically saying we're going to take this shit over. And the best thing you can do in order to kind of keep fans on side is give us the fights. Because ultimately, that's what we are. Fans are loyal to whoever's putting the fights on, right? I mean, if Golden Boy and Matchroom give us that one, we're like, fuck Zufa. Like, my God, you see, they just put on Boots versus Virgil. We're all in on this. So for us to not get this one when it's been spoken about, I think people need to kind of shake their head. This fight's been spoken about for 4 years. This isn't a 12-month thing. This is when they were at 147. This has gone on 4 years. But like you said, Dan, I mean, like, I think people will need to understand who Oscar De La Hoya is. Oscar De La Hoya is one of the smartest business savvy promoters we've probably ever seen. I think people look at him and he's clapback and he's eccentric dressing and his missus who's very eccentric and think this guy is some sort of idiot. He's very, very clued up. Like, if he goes to court, you're basically, it's like the Frank Warren over here. Good luck. Good luck going to court with those type of people who know the game inside out. Oscar's been doing this as a boxer and a very, very, very elite boxer. And Golden Boy, one of the biggest promotional stables ever. He knows what he's doing. But I think it's just disappointing for fans. It's disappointing for Virgil. Here we have one of the best fighters in the world who's not even fought for a world title yet. Like, literally, he's begging to be in these big fights. Virgil hasn't fought for a world title. Shakur Stevenson's a 4-weight world champion. Look at some of the champions. I'm not going to name names. Look at some of the nonsense who have belts around their waist. I mean, Virgil Ortiz, who's on the cusp of being a pound-for-pound fighter, who's not fought for a world title. I find it just incredible, crazy. And I guess the only bonus, and it's a small bonus, is that I think Golden Boy are going to move to fight Xander Zayas. And that's a big fight, Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Look, in America, it could be as big as Boots, by the way. That's a huge fight, but it's disappointing because that's the fight. Maybe bigger, right? Those Puerto Rican-Mexican wars down the years have been intense. And they will do big MSG for that one. So that's the only bonus for Virgil and the fact that he can be a world champion if he beats Xander. But I'm upset about it.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's going to be interesting now what happens with John Ennis. I know Eddie was saying, look, his next fight will be a big fight regardless. Sometimes Eddie's a little bit off with what he considers a big fight. What I don't want is like a big former name that, is coming. I don't want a Jamel Charlo, for instance, because he'll be like, that's a big fight, but he ain't fought in 3.5 years, near enough. So, yeah, it's disappointing. Again, it's one of those reasons why I do thank, I guess my intuition for not going for that ultimate when it was first promoted. I did want to, but then I've more thought about it. I was like, okay, how do I know that what I'm paying for is worth it? And ultimately, the next fight, unless it's, something that's even better than that, to try and put it on a pay-per-view again, is just going to be almost a smack to the people that did purchase that. To say, okay, well, look, you're still getting your money and your money's worth. Is like, well, no, I'm not really.
How much does this DAZN Ultimate cost in America?
$449.99.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's a lot of money in it. But considering how much their pay-per-views cost, I don't know, maybe that might work out as better than the UK price. Like, some of their pay-per-views are madness.
Yeah.
Some of them like,
yeah, I know a few Americans where they say they spend like $1,500 a year, and that was
covering the
obviously when
sport ain't
BBC
cheap,
was-
is it? Covering the sport ain't cheap, boy.
No. They say it's supposed to be working man sport. You got to have a very good job to to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, look, with that being said, last thing of the night, appreciate you again, Ade. Look, this week, the only fight of any immediate, what I would say, like, intrigue happens to be on the Zufa card. It's the inaugural Zufa Cruiserweight Championship of the World. I don't know how that's going to work out, but you got Jai Opetaia against Brandon Glanton on Sunday. In the Apex, is that a good thing? Like, could they have maybe looked to try and spring it elsewhere? But clearly, they're doing their budgeting thing and they're trying to make that their haven for boxing. But Ade, what's your opinions on the fight? And do you have any early predictions of who you think might win?
I love the fight. Honestly, I'm so upset that it's going under the radar because I feel like if this fight was promoted elsewhere, like it's funny. I hate doing the face-offs. Like, in fact, let me take that back. I hate doing face-offs for fight that don't need face-off. Sometimes they ask me to do face-off. I'm like, why does that fight need a face-off? Like, when you know there's no energy. Opetaia versus Glanton is a face-off type fight, which if they were really trying to push it, you roll out old school Max Kellerman. We do this old school. And we do a proper face-off the way I used to watch face-offs with Max. And that would have really given it the promotion it needs. This is Jai's first big fight, or first fight in America. And he's taken on someone that's rugged, strong. This is arguably his biggest test outside of Marius Bradis. Someone that's not going to come and lie down. Like Brandon Glanton. I was around Glanton for a week in Nigeria. Just around him. Not like... This guy is as hard as nails. This is a guy that's had to fight for it and it's not been given. And I think that hardens you a bit more. I expect Opetaia to win because I think Opetaia is special, but there's chinks in the armor. I don't know if he's as special as I first thought he was. That's because he was icing, no disrespect, maybe C-level guys, just flatlining them. We don't know what he's like when he's taking on B-level guys yet. I feel that's still to be seen. So I think he wins. I think he has to come through something. But the carrot being dangled in front of his face now is the winner of Benavidez Zerdo. And if I'm him, I grab that with every opportunity. And back to the Apex thing, horrible. Like, just horrible for fighters. I mean, that wasn't a venue for COVID, where UFC wanted to continually to put on events. We're past COVID. Why are we still doing... How can you let a Ring Magazine champion, an IBF champion, the cruiserweight ranked #1, fight in front of 250, 300 people? Like, what are we doing? I'm not saying it could have gone to the T-Mobile, it couldn't have. I'm not even saying the MGM. But Vegas has so many small casino rooms, so many, that gonna house 2,000 or 3,000. Chuck it in there. What does it cost to rent that? Like, chuck it in there, man. So I'm a bit upset for both fighters. I'm a bit upset for fans that are going to watch it because it's even hard for me to get excited about it because you almost feel like you can hear a pin drop. But I'm very excited for the fight.
Well, we know Dana is very much about cost cutting and keeping the profits, so that's probably why it's at the apex. Danny, what's your opinion on the fight, and do you have any early predictions on it?
The fought and the fight is a very good fight. Brandon Glanton, very good fight of tough, rugged, Southern FBA Georgia man. So yeah, he's going to bring it. He's going to bring the heat. Jai Opetaia, yes, he was flatlining the C-level guys, but then he was also in most recent time. The last two guys, they could be probably B-level, and he's starched them and flattened them out as well. So, so we're going to see what happens when he's fighting a tough man like Brandon Glanton, who I haven't seen on the floor before. But Jai Opetaia is a very intense, serious fighter. But yeah, with this Apex thing, it is silly because, as you said, Ade, they could have put this in the Cosmopolitan. They could have put this in the Mandalay Bay. You know, there's so many other venues in Vegas you could have done, or you could have just took it down to the south. Atlanta, Georgia, they like a good night out. You know, it's got a very good nightlife. So they could have put it down there. But yeah, to put it in, you're putting world championship fights in front of 200 people. This is not, Eddie Hearn's back garden. This is like worse than Eddie Hearn's back garden settings. You could fit more people there. So it is a bit of a disservice to a man like Jai Opetaia. So I imagine they're paying him quite handsomely as well, because that's another guy they managed to snap up as well. But early predictions, I'm going to go with Jai Opetaia on points.
Interesting. Well, look, yeah, I'm definitely going to be up. I probably will actually do a watch along for that one. I will give my predictions on Friday when the video drops. In terms of the fight, though, of all of their fights, this to me is actually maybe their second best fight in terms of just the actual matchup that they put together. This will be the most important one because the only one that's actually got a belt attached to it, and it's the first. How are we going to receive the actual Zufa belt? Is people going to like it? Now, I've said previously, I think the belt itself looks ugly as hell. Like it looks awful. They ain't spent no time or creativity on that, but it's one of those things that just it might sort of grow on you after a while if you see it enough. But I actually think the Vosdik versus Radavalle was my most looked forward to fight of the ones that they put together, and that one ended in a surprise. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends in a surprise either.
I would be interested to know what belt goes around Jai's waist first in this. Oh, sorry. Obviously, I'm picking Jai. So apologies if Brandon Glanton's watching this. Sorry, Brandon. But honestly, do they give him the ring belt? Does he grab his IBF? Or does Dana White do what he normally does in the UFC, where he kind of goes behind the fighters and straps the belt?
I don't even think he's going to be allowed to bring the ring and IBF belts out. They haven't been mentioned in any of the promos. I know all of the different companies put out their own belts with their own promo pictures, but I just have a feeling like the ring belt is going to be, back in Australia, and the IBF belt is going to be back there as well. I just don't think they're going to allow them on the broadcast.
Imagine if you're Brandon Glanton and you beat Jai, and they put the Zufa belt around your waist as opposed to giving you that ring belt and that photo, right? That photo op that every fighter kind of puts on their profiles. Brandon's going to want to hold aloft. This will be his greatest night ever. And they're going to give him a Zufa belt, which in 15 years' time, his kids are not even going to know what that was. Like, well, Daddy, it's wrong. No, honestly, it's wrong. He needs to be given the ring and the IBF in the ring. That needs to be put around his waist. It holds no prestige. And look, who knows, right? I mean, people might have said this when the UFC first started, and all of a sudden the UFC belt's incredible. But this is boxing, man. And Jai has the best belt you can have, the Ring Magazine belt. And if Brandon were to win, it's kind of a bit of a piss take if he doesn't get that belt put around his waist. I think it's a bit of a piss take.
Do you know what? I think that they will they'll put the Zufa thing on first, do the strap thing, the Dana thing, and then they'll slap the ring one. I think they're going to snub the IBF. The only reason why I feel they're going to bring the ring one out, because remember, that's Turkey's belt.
Yeah.
So they can't snub it. So they're gonna have to bring that one in. And remember, Dana did say that's the only one he recognizes. So I feel he is gonna bring the ring belt. So Brandon, he won't get the IBF, which is still gonna be nasty if he does pull it off. But he will at least get that ring one with a ugly looking Zufa looking one, which is gonna be.
I just want to know, Dan, what's the plan with Jai? Like, obviously, look, they're doing it differently, but I always felt like Jai was kind of hidden away in Australia, right? Obviously, look, we would watch. I wouldn't stay up for his fights, but I would watch them because I'm a big Jai fan. And I met him in Vegas, and I love Jai. I love his dad. I love everything about him. I think he's menacing. I think he has everything. I watch him, and I think, my God, stylistically, punch power, speed. He's got that bouncing on the foot thing. I love everything about him. Show him to the American audience. Like, this should have been in the Cosmopolitan. I almost feel like people are going to tune in and tune off. Like, I don't think they've pushed him enough. And he is. I mean, I know Conor's the big signing because of name, but really it's Jai. Jai's the biggest name they have on that roster, really, in terms of a guy that will break into the pound for pound rankings. And I just feel like he's not got the push that I think even he thought he would get. So I think it's been a bit disappointing. And hopefully, if he wins, you start to kind of show him around America, get him on a chat show, let people understand. Like, I'm not joking. He's got that kind of don't give a fuck personality that could even work on the Breakfast Club. But they'll be like he's got this thing about him where he just says things matter of fact, and I can imagine Charlemagne just laughing his ass off, and Jai like looking at him seriously, and I ain't playing. I think we need to get him. That the culture needs to see who Jai is. Get him on camera and get him everywhere. And I feel like they haven't done a job of really pushing him out there yet.
Do you know what? That's a very good point, Addy. And remember, I think that his personality is a good crossover thing because, remember, there's a lot of Samoans in America. Yeah. So he can get that crowd straight behind him. And, Samoans are known in America as they got hands. So people respect them even in the streets. So if he comes over there and, we know he's a madman, he's like, let's have it. So they'll be like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, as you said, get him on the Breakfast Club, sway. He starts, his eyes start twitching. People were like, whoa, who's this guy? Like,
yeah, he's a massive hip hop head as well. So he'll be on there, and immediately, it's like the way us Americans, they feel we don't listen to rap. They feel like the rap's only for Americans. Once he starts showing them, no, what do you mean? I listen to Tupac. I walk out to Tupac. Like, I think they'll start to okay, who's this guy? Who's this killer? And I feel like they haven't done a job on that at all. And I think that's something that the UFC have just always had a problem with. Hence why there's not many stars in the UFC at the moment, because I think it's almost like if you don't promote yourself, they're really not going to push you. You've almost got to be that guy yourself. Yeah. Conor, John Jones, Ronda Rousey, etc. If you don't do it yourself, you kind of get left behind. And I feel like that's kind of what's going on with Jai at the moment. But it's early doors. I won't judge too quickly. It could happen. But for now, I'd like to think that everyone in the world should know he's fighting on Sunday. People don't... Amount of people have come up to me and said, "Oh, Jai's fighting on Saturday." I'm like, "No, it's Sunday. It's not Saturday, it's Sunday." People don't even know the day.
Yeah.
And that's wild.
And technically for us, it's Monday morning. So, but look, well, let's hope that he does get that push that he deserves afterwards. But with that being said, we are at the end of the show. We kept it to the hour. We promised. Ade, listen, tell the people anything that you've got going on now that they need to be aware of. Look, they most probably all follow you and anyway, but the ones who don't, let them know.
Guys, so for me, the journey continues. Obviously, you guys know it's got a bit busier for me now with Queensbury joining the DAZN stable. So we're kind of juggling Matchroom shows, Queensbury shows. It's always a blessing for me to go out to the American ones. Obviously, I did Ryan Garcia, Barrios, which is just insane. I almost feel like, as a Brit doing an American show, it almost makes you feel even more prideful. Like, geez, we're going to, Americans hate the idea of British invasion, but it felt like that a bit. So we're doing that. I've launched my Adi Oladipo Talks Football just because I love football. I talk about football as much as boxing to my boys. I'm like, why am I not talking football on my YouTube? So we've launched that. It just hit, or it's very close to hitting 5,000 subs. And we just keep on grinding, man. Honestly, we keep on grinding and just trying to grow. Like, I always used to think with what we do that there was kind of a scene. Like, I used to think Hatman was like God-like for us. But I always felt like boxing YouTube kind of had this, you can't get past 50, 60, 70,000 subs. And now we've gone to like over 100. I'm like, well, one second. We can keep pushing. We can grow. So the next target's 200,000, which sounds wild. But who knows, right? I mean, all you got to do is keep putting out content and you never know. There's fight fans out there. And I just realized there's millions of fight fans out there. And you guys should think this as well. They should all be watching my shit. Like, they should all be watching your shit. So for me, there is no more limits on numbers. Like, I'm just going to go and attack it this year. I'm going to Nigeria. I'm trying to I'll tell you guys anyway. Most people watching this will probably soon find out. There's a head of boxing role that I might be taking up over there because I'm really trying to push boxing in Nigeria. I just want it to look good. You know what? That's what it is for me. I'm just like, I'm tired of turning on. I did the last 2 events in Nigeria and I was like, this ain't good enough, man. Like, I'm not happy how it looks because I just want it to look like even like a top tier show that they do. Some of why I'm not asking for it to look like the top DAZN and Queensbury and Mac. I'm like, why can't it just look like a good small show? So I feel like I'm gonna put my I was gonna say money where my mouth is, but I've been talking a lot. Let's go over there and make it work. So I want to go over to Nigeria and see if I can help set things up and get the ball rolling over there and give some of those young African fighters an opportunity to make good money, so they don't have to think, oh, it only works in the UK or America. No, you can make good money back home. And if you're good enough, then you go. But so yeah, that's the plan. And loads of things I'm trying to juggle this year. But I think that's my biggest thing that I want to make right. Just big events on the continent.
Good. Well, look, we will be supporting and anything you need, as little as our platforms are, we're down for the cause.
Tell the streets that I'm still here, babe. Spread the word.
Don't worry, we're going to
spread the word, Danny. Let them know, Danny.
Let them know you're still around. You're still here. And anyone who's not following any of Ade's channels, both of them are in the description. The football channel's in there and the boxing channel. So if you're not subscribed, go over there and watch the content. I've watched almost all I've got one video left to watch on the football channel. But
wow.
I watch all of your stuff. Every video you put out, I watch. Like, so that's not I'm trying to score favors. Like, I enjoy the content. I watch it when I get the notification. So you keep pushing as much as you can with your limited time, because now your time is stretched all the way out. But like, we appreciate you. Danny, actually, myself and Danny will do that separately. But obviously, Base the Kid, the hardcore casual, if you're watching through here, or Danny's new channel, Fight Fan TV Network. He's now getting a subscriber base up on there, so you can
What?
watch him through one of our channels.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
that's
Jeez,
how we're
Danny's gone
moving.
solo, yeah? Danny's gone solo.
Sometimes things happen.
You know what, though,
Yeah.
on that, obviously, look, first, you guys are doing it together, which is good, but that solo thing's so important. Like, obviously, you guys remember back in the day, I used to do it with Ryan, Box Talk.
Yeah.
And there is something, for me, I haven't got the patience. Sometimes I just need to do a video. And sometimes I only know that I can push myself. Like, I can't put the expectations I have on someone else. And I felt like I used to do that. But with myself, I know I can put all the expectations on my shoulders and go.
Yes.
So obviously sometimes I sit with G-Man and do my thing. But for me, I like to be able to do my own thing because then there's no excuse. There's no like, oh, you're supposed to log on. I just like to do my own thing.
Yeah.
I might do a video after this. Who knows? And I like that. So I think it's important to go solo. It's obviously always good to link up. But it's important to grow your own thing. And then when you link up, you're like the Avengers because you're all big. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I bring this, you bring this, and together we're like this. So I think it's important to go solo. It really is. So well done to both of you.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. But look, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, as I said, Ade's channels are in the description. Make sure you like and subscribe if you aren't already. Our channels, you can get them if you're watching through TwitX. You can see the links in there as well. For mine, for Danny's, again, Fight Fan TV Network. Make sure you log on and support that channel and help that grow so we can start doing big things. With that being said, Ade Oladipo, thank you very much. Danny, I'm going to catch you on the next one. But for right now, that's episode 1 done. We out.
Chat stats, pop jabs, reach, who's king? Southpool, switch, lead, hook, chimping. Scorecards, rematch, who got rubbed fast, all on the B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast.